After walking out of episode 9, I was just like a mess, had my whole spirit disrupted. Hey everyone, it's Sharana from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, which is directed by J.J. Abrams, who's responsible for directing Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. This film stars Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac. It's a lot of people in this movie, as it is for all the other films, but this is the final chapter, the final episode. This is supposed to be the grand finale of all of the previous 8 films. And I have to say, after walking out The Rise of Skywalker, I was very let down. But for those of you who are new to my channel, I tell you what I liked about the film, what I didn't like about the film, and should you pay your way to see this film in theaters, because we all got bills. It's Christmas. We trying to save coins, and I'm trying to help you make a very informed decision on what to do with your money. So going into what I enjoyed about episode 9. First and foremost, Finn and Poe. It's the friendship that I want to be a part of. It's the friendship that I want in real life. I enjoy the chemistry between these two characters. I really enjoy John Boyega and Oscar Isaac in this film, probably more in this film than the previous. Not to say that I didn't enjoy, especially Oscar Isaac as Poe, but I really feel as both of these characters truly come into their own. The chemistry amongst both of them, the bromance that they have, I was just like, I want this. Like, this is life right here. This is true friendship. And I would have to say the bantering, the bickering between the two, it provides some fun moments, some funny moments throughout the course of the film. I will have to say they finally put a little bit of respect on Finn's name. I was very disappointed with the progression of film of Finn, how his character has been underutilized and really underdeveloped throughout the course of the previous 2 films. And I would have to say that they do a better job of Finn. He's a more respectable character. He's not a coward as he was in The Last Jedi. And I really feel as though they took a step in the right direction. But even though I enjoyed his character more in The Rise of Skywalker, I still have some issues with how they've handled Finn over the course of these 3 films, which I'll get into when we talk about what I didn't enjoy about the movie. But for the most part, we took a step in the right direction. Finn, I was like, this is what I needed in the previous 2 films. Now, I will have to say, with the new additions of Kerry Russell and Naomi Ackie's characters, I actually really enjoyed them. I felt as though they had very great chemistry with the rest of the cast. I think that they mesh very well with how they kind of paired these 2 characters throughout the film. But I was still a little weirded out, like, why are we introducing new characters when we're really supposed to be closing this chapter to these films? And it's almost to the point where, because I did enjoy them, I wish they would have been added sooner in previous films, but I did enjoy their characters in Rise of Skywalker. Now, when we get into nostalgia, which is another piece of the movie that I really did enjoy, and when I read the first reactions after the premiere, and everyone said there was a lot of fan service, when I was watching The Rise of Skywalker, I was like, this is exactly what they're talking about. There are moments of nostalgia where it just really brings you back to why you are a Star Wars fan. And I really enjoyed those moments. Really, without those moments, I would have had a worse reaction to Rise of Skywalker than how I felt after walking out of this film. Also, too, with how they handle Carrie Fisher's death, rest in peace. I thought that they did a very good job with how they handled General Leia within the film. She was actually in the film a lot more than what I thought that she would be. And you can kind of tell that they didn't have that much to work with as far as what she had previously recorded. But I still felt satisfied with kind of how her character was handled in episode 9. Now, also, too, we got to talk about Reylo for a minute, because I really enjoy where they went with their story. We've all been trying to figure out, what is this connection between Rey and Kylo? Is it a romantic connection? Is it a family connection? And kind of as we have these reveals, and there are some big reveals in Rise of Skywalker, I like where they went with Reylo. I was just like, you know what? If y'all didn't get nothing else right, I was here for how you guys handle Reylo. I was like, you did a decent job with it. I'm pretty happy. I was content. I was like, you know what? For this, I am satisfied. But that's all that we're going to get with the good. Let's get into what I didn't enjoy about Rise of Skywalker. So let's get back to Finn. So with Finn, I have felt so disrespected with how they've handled his character throughout the previous 2 movies. He was a coward. He was a hero at times, but then he went back to being a coward, especially in The Last Jedi. And I was just like, why do you not want to do right by Finn? John Boyega is such a talented actor that I really felt that he was done a disservice throughout all of the films. There's this theme that we've been exploring with Finn's character, and I'm not going to get into it because it is a spoiler-free review. And I thought that we were going to finally get some answers, but they still do nothing with it. There is a whole story arc that we really could have went through with Finn's character, and they just totally just don't want to focus on it. And I think that he's one of the, really honestly, if we're going to be honest about all of this, a huge issue that I do have with Rise of Skywalker, especially in relation to Finn's character, also too with Rey, is there's no character development. I felt after walking out of Rise of Skywalker that most of these characters were no further in their journeys of us really understanding who they are as people than when we were first introduced to them in The Force Awakens. And so that is my biggest issue with Rise of Skywalker, especially when we look at Rey's character. Who is like Rey? I know it hasn't been that much time that has transpired from The Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker. So her being this like super master Jedi, I was just like, when did she learn how to do all this stuff? And in the movie, they say she's been training. But I was like, girl, it ain't enough training in the world that is going to get you from where you were in The Last Jedi to where you are at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker. I was just like, this makes no sense. How does she develop all of these powers? How does she learn how to use the Force the way that she does, which it does deliver some cool moments, but it's just unbelievable to think that she was able to progress that much in her training in between these 2 films. It just made absolutely no sense. Even Anakin didn't progress that much from where we saw him, even from episode 2 to episode 3. I was just, because they haven't developed who Rey was, and also too because they waited until Rise of Skywalker to really give us more information about where Rey comes from, which is a huge, that was a huge twist. I was like, what? Like, wow. Like, literally everyone in the audience, when we finally figured this out, we were just like, what? That was a good moment. But we never really had time to explore who Rey was. Almost to the point where I felt as though this big reveal that we have in Rise of Skywalker, it should have happened in a previous film. We should have been able to go on a journey with Rey. And because she doesn't get to learn that much about where she comes from and, how she's involved in all of this, it's really a letdown with, you really don't necessarily care about the character. I cared more about what her connection was to Kylo than necessarily, I didn't feel as though I went on a journey with her. There's no character development with Rey. There's no character development with Finn. You just now figure out what the heck Poe was doing before, everything with the Resistance happened. And it was just like, why? You've had 3 2.5-hour movies to really give us something more about these characters. And it's almost as if there was no roadmap. There was no imagination. There was no creativity when we talk about these 3 movies. And it feels as though that these movies feel more as a cash grab than really appealing to the fans of Star Wars. Not to say that J.J. Abrams, he's not a fan of Star Wars. I just really feel as though the studio, that the directors, they had no vision of where they wanted to go from The Force Awakens all the way up until now with Rise of Skywalker. And it's one of those moments, when you get in trouble and you do something really bad and you think, you're going to get your butt beat or you're going to be grounded, depending on what type of parents that you have. But what hurts you the most is when your parents sit you down and say, I am disappointed in you. I am disappointed in the decisions that you have made. And that's how I feel about these last 3 movies. It's not that I don't know what you're capable of, what you could have done with this new trilogy of films in the Star Wars franchise. It's that you didn't care about Star Wars. You didn't care about the story. You didn't even take the time to really come up with a vision of what you were trying to do to guide you through these last 3 films. And that's what I feel is disappointment at how this franchise was handled, at how this big finale was handled, to the point where it was a lackluster finale. I walked out feeling like, I I'm a Star Wars fan, and from the little nostalgia moments that they gave me throughout the film, I was like, I still felt good to see these characters, you know, one more time. But if I'm talking from a movie standpoint, if I'm judging throughout the whole series, this is supposed to be the big finale, I was very let down. I think a lot of people are going to walk out of this film and just be like, what the heck did I watch? Like, why did you do this? Like, how did we get to this point? Also, too, because they totally ignored the fact that The Last Jedi happened. Like, they only mentioned one thing that happens, basically killing Snoke. And I was just like, so we just gonna sit up here and act like one of the most divisive Star Wars movies of the entire franchise never happened? Like, that's what we're gonna do? They literally just said, you know what? Last Jedi, that didn't happen. And you can truly tell while watching the movie that I really think that they were afraid of the fandom. I think The Last Jedi and the discourse that it had, their beefs that everyone had in the fandom, I think it scared them. While I was watching this, I was like, they took the safe route. They took a safe bet. We don't want to get dragged on social. We don't want to get dragged by the fandom. So we're going to just make a safe, easy movie that y'all really can't have too many issues with because we gave you nostalgia moments. And I was just like, heck no. No. This is going to be a very talked about film. I think that people are initially going to like this film, but the rewatch value, I think it's going to get worse and worse every time you watch it. You're just going to sit there and be like, I can't believe that out of all these movies, we had 8 movies. And on the last movie, this is what you guys decided to do. I'm just disappointed. I'm just disappointed. I don't understand. I'm just disappointed. We deserve better. The franchise deserve better. These great actors deserve better. You have a great cast. We just all deserve better. So what I'm going to tell you to do with you and your coins, as a Star Wars fan, I want to say pay so bad. When I left this movie, I did not feel like my entire life was wasted. But if I'm going to be honest, when I weigh the good and the bad, it's just too much bad. If you are not that big of a Star Wars fan, it's definitely a wait. But as a fan of all of these films, as someone who really just appreciates what these movies like gave to me, especially as a young child, like rewatching the first films to come out, it's a way for me, y'all. I just can't in good faith tell you to pay to see a movie that was just so disrespectful, just disrespected the fandom as a whole. I apologize. I gotta keep it real. It's a wait for me. But those are my thoughts on Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. As always, my name is Sharonda from Pay or Waits, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3,000, or I guess I said may the force be with you. I should have said that, but it's okay. That's my normal tagline. We're gonna stick with it in 2019. I hope to see you guys soon. Don't drag me too much if you disagree. Let's be respectful in those comments, okay? I'll see you soon.